Ladies and gentlemen, our long national nightmare is just about over. Because this week we will witness the release of The Rise of Skywalker. Technically, as I'm recording this right now, it's already been released in some places across the world. The reviews are coming in, and it is a shit show. From every which way, everyone hates it. Star Wars fans hate it. Critics who actually love The Last Jedi hate The Rise of Skywalker. And we are going to see not the end of the Skywalker saga, because let's be honest here, the Skywalker, canonically, it ended with the Return of Jedi. And in human years, it ended with Revenge of the Sith, when that movie was released. Well, my friends, what we will be witnessing is the end of the Kathleen Kennedy Disney trilogy. And we will see from these ashes, from the burnt rubble that is The Rise of Skywalker, we will see a new phoenix rise. One that's already poked its beautiful little baby Yoda head with the ascension of Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau as they take over Lucafilm and save it from the burning piece of trash heap that it became under the tutelage of Kathleen Kennedy. That's gonna be so nice. Alright, so obviously, as you can see right here in the picture, we have Dave Filoni, we have Jon Favreau, we have George Lucas, the father and the offspring of Star Wars. And it's going to be pretty freaking cool when these guys actually take over for Kathleen Kennedy. But before that, we still have Kathleen Kennedy. We still have all that stuff going on. And so let's take a look at what Kathleen Kennedy had to say not too long ago about the future of Star Wars. It says, Star Wars boss Kathleen Kennedy teases film hiatus after the Rise of Skywalker. This is about 3 days ago from the point where I'm recording this. It says, Skywalker saga comes to an end this weekend. Oh my god, I didn't know it was 1983. Wow, that's weird to write. Why? With J.J. Abrams' Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. After that, well, we don't know what's after that because Star Wars franchise will be taking a hiatus. It will not be taking a hiatus. It will be continuing just in a different form. It will be continuing with more TV. It will be continuing with maybe some comics, maybe some books to be released. They're going to have to really build this Star Wars back up from the ground up and after it's been destroyed. So yeah, a film hiatus, yes, it will take a film hiatus. Let me clarify that. I'm not saying that we're going to see another movie in the next 2 years or 3 years. But in the next 4 years, most definitely, we're going to see another Star Wars movie. Whether it's a Knights of the Old Republic movie, whether it's something just completely different. We're going to see Star Wars on film again. We definitely will. What we won't see again, though, is this young lady right here, Miss Kathleen Kennedy, at the helm of another Star Wars film project. She won't do it. Here's why. Number one, The Force Awakens made a ton of money. And number two, The Last Jedi did not make as much money as The Force Awakens. That is a backward step Disney does not want to take. The Rise of Skywalker will more likely than not, if you're asking my opinion, not make as much money as either one of those two. For two reasons. Number one, it costs a whole lot of money to make. There was a lot of reshoots that had to go into that movie that they didn't spend with The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. The second thing is the amount of press and public and just trying to throw as much goodwill and all that good stuff out there and all the billboards and all the advertisements completely. I'm telling you, it blew up that budget. There's just no way in hell that this movie is going to be able to clear profit in the same way that The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens were able to do. It's just not going to be possible. There was just too much put on this movie's back. Now, Kathleen Kennedy pretty much took gasoline, poured it over the Star Wars franchise, and lit it on fire. and you have tons and tons of reasons why Kathleen Kennedy will not have a job. Probably in the next few months, you'll hear how she stepped down. She's going to take care of family and stuff like that. How she did such a great job over the past 20, 30, 40 years with George Lucas and Steven Spielberg and all that stuff. And she's just going to take time now for herself to retire. And it's going to be that's her way of getting fired. And that's a lot of these Hollywood executives' ways of getting fired. So she teased film hiatus after, we're literally making this up from whole cloth and bringing in filmmakers to find what these stories might be. It can take a while before you find what direction you might want to go. We need time to do that. This was the biggest problem with this Kathleen Kennedy saga, was that they were literally making this thing up from the very beginning. They had no clear-cut direction of where they were going, and where they had, they had a plethora of great material that they can pull from that expanded universe. They shit on it when they bought it. They said, no, we're not using any of this. None of this stuff is canon anymore, because they wanted their own individual properties, their own intellectual properties. They wanted to change the stuff that they could 25% so they didn't have to pay George Lucas or anybody else any sort of royalties. And they wanted to pretty much strip Star Wars and make it into something that was 100% Disney. That's what they tried to do. And so, yeah, they had to make things up as they went along, because they were on a deadline to get a movie out, because Disney spent, $4 billion on this project, on buying Lucafilm. They needed to get a project out there and start recouping some of that money as quickly as possible. They went full steam ahead with Galaxy's Edge, and pretty much anything that Disney Star Wars touches turns to complete shit. And it all started with the head, with Kathleen Kennedy, who she just did not have the Midas touch when it came to picking directors or picking the creative direction of the franchise. There was no creative direction. So the show media here is going to say that sounds reasonable enough. Star Wars theatrical hiatus is necessary because deciding the next steps for cinema's most famous and iconic franchise is no easy task. Unfortunately, right now, it is no longer the most famous or the most iconic franchise. It's sad. It really isn't anymore. Now, that right there, the most famous and iconic franchise, that belongs to Marvel. When you talk about, and you're going to say, well, Marvel's not a franchise like Star Wars. There's all these different movies, and there's Ant-Man and Iron Man and Black Panther and Hulk. There's so many different things. Well, they're all under that one umbrella. That is one singular franchise, where each one is like a chapter or an installment in one overarching story. So that's exactly what Star Wars is. When you look at it and you see things like Rogue One or Solo, the Star Wars story, that's what they were envisioning. That's what they were trying to do. They wanted to be able to pull out a Boba Fett movie. They wanted to be able to pull out a Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, just like they're doing a Hawkeye thing, and they're doing I think they're doing She-Hulk. They're doing a bunch of stuff on Disney Plus when it comes to Marvel. The Captain, not Captain America, it's the Winter Soldier, and oh my god, why can't I remember his name right now? I've only seen him in like 50 fucking movies. Anyway, so here's where the problems go. They are not adapting existing material that provides a clear roadmap of where to go next. Suggestions that fans of Legends canon and Star Wars video games will certainly take umbrage with. Well, because you had all this great material. You had a lot of things that you can go through. The fact, the Knights of the Old Republic, just that alone, that would be such an awesome movie. I mean, remember playing through that like it was just one large movie at my house. My cousin came over. He ends up spending like the entire weekend in my house, just doing nothing but playing, eating, and sleeping. And that's how I felt playing Knights of the Old Republic. That's what we need to see. We need to see more stuff like that. We need to see more stuff like The Mandalorian. We don't need more Kathleen Kennedy Star Wars sagas. According to Kathleen Kennedy, Lucasfilm is still trying to figure out what the future of Star Wars franchise is. Here's the great thing about what's going to happen very, very soon. Kathleen Kennedy will not be in charge of making that decision. The two men that will be in charge of that will be Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. And the reason why they will be is because of Baby Yoda. They single-handedly have saved Star Wars in the eyes of many people already, just with this Mandalorian series, and people want to see them get their hands on the full Star Wars experience. When they do, it's going to be something completely different. See, what people don't understand about Jon Favreau is he is the guy that kicked off the Marvel Universe. His Iron Man movie started the whole thing. It put the dominoes in place that eventually were completely knocked down with Avengers Endgame. He set the tone of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and everyone else followed after that. He came and with The Jungle Book and The Lion King, he delivered Disney two properties, resurrected two properties, and made them a shit ton of money. He has ingratiated himself with Disney so much. Everything that he has touched with Disney has been pretty solid. I hated The Lion King. It was a horrible movie. But you have to give props where props is due. It made so much money. It made so much money. And that's all Disney really cares about. The only thing that Kathleen Kennedy has ever done for Disney is lose it money. She took a property that was the gold standard when it came to IP, and she made it worthless. And it's going to take these two guys, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, to save it. So everything that Kathleen Kennedy is saying in this article is just bullshit in its spin. Let's face the facts here. She is not going to be a part of this hiatus. She's not going to be meeting with different filmmakers. She's not going to be doing anything but packing her shit and heading home. And let me tell you something. If I'm wrong and Kathleen Kennedy is just going to sit in her ivory chair at Lucasfilm for the next 20, 30 years, making decisions, shaping the future of this franchise, well, two things. Number one, the franchise won't be around in 20, 30 years if Kathleen Kennedy is still at the home. But then Disney, she's got pictures on Disney executives or something. There's some sort of blackmail going on, if that's the case. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's not my intellectual property. It's theirs. Well, anyway, that's enough about Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, you guys tell me, what do you think about Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau taking over Star Wars? Do you think that what Kathleen Kennedy is saying here is true? I mean, you think she's going to be taking that hiatus and refilling her creative juices and meeting with different filmmakers doing that stuff? Or is she really on her way out? Who knows? Leave a comment down in the comment section below. If you like this, please share and subscribe to the channel. We are trying our best to grow, and we're trying to look at things from a different direction. We're trying not to just make the same videos that everybody else is making out there. We're trying not to do reviews of the movies and stuff like that. I mean, we're trying some different things just to try to be a little bit more fresher and looking at different stuff. And just kind of looking at things from a different direction. So if you appreciate that, or if you think we're doing a little bit of a good job of it, please subscribe to the channel and help us grow. Thanks. Have a good one.